Well, hi, hello, and how are you doing out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative, and welcome to the Thursday night newsroom. That little gathering where we get together and we do this thing we call, I don't know what the heck we call it, but we call it something crazy. Anyway, how you doing tonight? No, I know exactly what we're doing. We're trying to get our way through this thing called life. We're looking at the news and we're giving our views. And you're doing it with me, your wonderful and gracious guide to all things happening in the world. My name is Brian Trippett. I am known in social media as the Front Porch Conservative. I am sometimes called the chap in the cap. I am sometimes called the wise guy in the wide brim. On occasion, I'm called the common man with common sense. But in this moment, as always, I am your host. We are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube. So if you would not mind, if you do not care, please do me some favors, as always. Number one, if you're not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do so. Number two, hit the bell for notifications. We want to make sure you're always aware when new stuff is coming out, be it a live stream or whatever. Also, while you're at it, hit the thumbs up button, daggone it. Help me out here. We're a small, going little concern. We'd like to be a going big concern, and we can do that every time you hit the like button and every time you leave a comment and chat. And finally, share the link around with your friends. We want them to know that there's a place they can go and hang out with people just as cool as they are. Anyway, glad to have you guys here tonight. It's going to be a fun evening. I have got a slew, and I mean a slew of memes. I've got a slew of clips, news articles, commentary. We're going to be spending most of our evening talking about the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel from ABC, and there's a lot to say about that, folks. And believe me, normally I'm pretty well set in what I think, but I tell you what, this is one of those occasions where I'm really of two minds, and I hope that. I hope that we're not going down the road that I think we are, but I got a real bad feeling. We'll get to some of that here in a little bit. Let's see who all is in the house this evening. TBA is over, and he says, "Whoa, man, WWG1, you go on strike for a day and you come back with a vengeance." WWG1 says he's paying me in cash now. Who said anything about cash? Anyway, I'm sorry. The cash is Venezuelan. Now that you got right, WWG1. Absolutely, you got that right. So, let's see. Salty Old Fart is here. Glad to see him. Mr. Scott Awesome is in the house. Ayo is right. Glad to have all you wing nuts over there assembled on Rumble. Let's see who all is on the YouTube and Twitter side. Gypsy, you gorgeous thing, you. Mwah. Rhonda's in the house. I have to work, but I just want to say, well, hello, Rhonda. We're glad to have you here with us, and thank you for what amount of time you do stop by. We's glad to have you. Next Pharaoh is here. Hello, Next Pharaoh. Oh, goodness me, and everybody's going to start pouring in here in a little bit. Oh, there is. Oh, my gosh, there's so much to get into tonight. Glad you guys are here for the Thursday night newsroom. Like I said, we are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube. And by the way, I'm going to go ahead and announce this now, and I'm also going to go ahead and announce this on Saturday. I have been toying for the longest time with the idea of really giving Rumble Studio a try. And when I say giving it a try, I've been really giving thought to moving away from StreamYard and moving to Rumble Studio on a regular basis for a lot of reasons. One of them is I think the functionality of Rumble Studio is now at least equal or in some cases better than StreamYard. And what I'm going to do this coming Monday, we're going to do the show, and hopefully you're not going to notice, you, the audience, will not notice much of a difference. We're going to do the show out of Rumble Studio as opposed to StreamYard. So WWG1 says Rumble Studio doesn't cost anything, correct? Well, you have to, I pay a certain amount per month for my Rumble subscription, which I'm assuming covers the cost of Rumble Studio. And I'm not going to lie, WWG1, that's one of the reasons why I'm thinking about it. I mean, nothing against StreamYard. They got the right to make money. But on the other hand, I have the right to try to conserve my money. And if I can find a cost-effective platform that lets me, stream the show and not have to pay quite so much money doing it, and I get the same quality or more, yeah, I'm going to make the move. But I also have to have some practice. So this coming Monday, we're going to try it out of Rumble Studio. And my goal, just to let you guys know in all of this, my goal is come January to be doing the show exclusively out of Rumble Studio. Now, like I said, for folks on YouTube and Twitter, if I do this right, by doing it right, I mean perform at or better the same level than what you have right now when I'm using StreamYard, you're not going to notice a difference. Okay. Yeah, the learning curve is the only issue. I agree with that, WWG1. But yeah, we're going to give it a try. So I'm giving you guys heads up right now. And by the way, the part of the reason why I'm giving you heads up right now is if God forbid something does go wrong on Monday for folks on YouTube and Twitter, pop on over to Rumble. Just letting you know right now. So anyway, also by way of announcements, and we mentioned this the other night, this Sunday at 5 o'clock Eastern, I will be appearing on Christian Watson's channel. He and his co-host, Nikoji, have a live stream called Moral Panic. And I don't think Christian's got the thumbnail or the... Well, let me double check my messages here. No, I don't see anything yet. I don't think they've got the thumbnail or the live stream set up yet. But... Oh, did I say Monday? I'm sorry. You're right. I'm right. Tuesday of next week. My apologies. You're absolutely right. Tuesday of next week. I misspoke. Thank you for catching that, WWG1. Yeah, Tuesday of next week, we're going to be working out of Rumble Studio. And this Sunday at 5 o'clock Eastern, I'll be appearing on Christian Watson's channel on his live stream called Moral Panic. So 5 o'clock Eastern, as soon as I see the link to it, the thumbnail, I'll get it out as best I can. Would love for Fedora Nation to show up and just have a good old time doing it. So absolutely. Yes. Tuesday is correct. Tuesday is correct. Oh, honey, as always, you are prescient. We're going to get to all that. Don't you worry about a thing. Good evening, Miss Lana. Mwah, you gorgeous thing, you. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about tonight, and we're just going to dive right in. So the housekeeping announcements are out of the way. Next Tuesday, we're going to be in Rumble Studio. This Sunday at 5 o'clock Eastern, I'll be on Christian Watson's channel. And with that, let's just go right into it. Oh, good. Oh, one last thing. We have got a new sponsor for the channel. I tell you what, Fedora Nation is growing by leaps and bounds. We're getting phone calls and text messages and messages on Twitter all the time about people who want to come on and be a sponsor for the Electronic Front Porch. And we've come up with a new one. And, we're always trying. We are always trying with this show to appeal to all people. I mean, let's be honest. Most of this audience is fairly conservative, maybe with a pinch of libertarianism, etc. But, we're still trying to reach out to people, even those on the left. And we think we've got a sponsor that's going to be able to help us out. Our new sponsor that's coming on board is a product, maybe, I don't know if you've ever heard of it yet or not, but very soon we'll be cutting some promos for them. Haterade. For those of you who are of a political left leaning, this is the far left drink for far left liberals. It will always leave a bitter taste in your mouth. And no matter what, you'll never go dry when you're talking to people, but you'll always have that bitter brimstone taste right on the tip of your tongue. So just remember, when you're looking for a drink to keep you hydrated and in a good argument with your conservative friends, remember to drink lots of Haterade, the official drink of all far left liberals. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to be a sponsor on the Electronic Front Porch before it is all said and done. There you go. Oh, goodness me. Yeah. All right. Now we got all the official housekeeping stuff out of the way. Let's get us right down to business here. Yeah, now, it's memes like that people, come up to me all the time, or they ask me, "Hey, Front Porch, this WWG1 guy, who is he?" I mean, this guy absolutely is finding memes and pulling them right out of his wherever. I mean, this guy's incredible. What's he like? Can you give me the backstory on the guy? Can you tell us about WWG1? Well, you know what? I'll even do better than that. I'll show you a picture of WWG1. If you are ever wondering who is responsible for all these wonderful memes that we get here on the Electronic Front Porch, you can thank this man right here. Yeah, this guy right here. This is a picture of WWG1, and this is the man, without question, who is the meme master. So when it comes to a good meme on the Electronic Front Porch, doesn't matter what kind of live stream I'm doing, I can always count on WWG1 to come through. So lift your glasses, my friends, to WWG1 and his many, many memes. Thank you, sir. You are awesome. And by the way, I love the sunglasses. They look great on you. Oh, goodness. I feel like I'm doing a lot of housekeeping stuff tonight. A lot of housekeeping stuff. Goodness me. A lot of housekeeping things we're taking care of this evening. All right, what else do we have? All right, let's really start diving into these memes. Oh, I saw a study today that had to do with family pets. A lot of people think that dogs and cats are not very intelligent. I don't agree with that at all. As a matter of fact, there was a study that was done recently that demonstrated just how intelligent your average family pet can be. I mean, for example, if you were to put something down on the floor and you wanted to test your family pet, what they will do with it, well, the authors of this study discovered that if you lay something down on the ground, depending upon what it is, your family pet, be it a dog or a cat, will not do anything with it. They will respect your property. As a matter of fact, the one item above all else that the authors of the study found that house pets will not do anything with is your newspaper. I mean, for example, look at it this way. If a cat finds a copy of the New York Times laying out on the kitchen floor, they will not do their business in it because in their minds, well, yeah. So do not expect your family cat to leave its droppings in a copy of the newspaper, especially if it's the New York Times. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. And where's Zippy when I need him? I got a meme that's tailor-made for Zippy, and what do I get? He doesn't show. Cats, you cannot trust them. Wonderful pets, can't trust them. Really? Really? This is what your dog used to do? Huh. Well, goodness me. Yeah, Zippy is definitely AOL. That's for daggone sure, guys. Yeah, the wingnuts are chiming in over there like, where is he? Yeah. Mm-hmm, yeah. Well, now, and maybe the cat, maybe that's what the cat is thinking. Who knows? Hey, it's hard to say. But yeah, cats and dogs are a whole lot smarter sometimes than we truly give them credit for. Not saying, but I'm just saying. This kid, Tyler Robinson, we figured out a lot of things about him real fast. But, we realized almost immediately that, we realized real quickly he wasn't trans, but his partner was. I love these memes. I really do. They write themselves. I hardly have to do any work. It's just awful. really is just awful. Oh, goodness me. Goodness me. All right. What else have we got here? Tell you what. Yeah, WWG1 came back with a vengeance for a man who was supposedly on strike. You know, computers, I marvel, even though I use them on a regular basis, what have you. I marvel at what a computer could do, or even a search engine like Google. I mean, you ask it a question, you type in something. Hang on, man. I got to clarify something. TBA says, Brian, you aren't doing any of the work. WWG1 is. No. What I meant was, as far as like the jokes that go along with the meme, not necessarily finding the memes, just the jokes that go along with the memes. So that's what I meant. So let me clarify that. But thank you for pointing that out. No, I mean, search engines on computers anymore are just crazy. I mean, you type one little thing into like Google, and it's amazing the response you get. I mean, for example, if you were to type into Google, is my FBI agent a massive figgot? It's kind of interesting the reactions that you get. So, this technological age in which we live, kind of remarkable. So truly. Oh, let's see. Going back to the previous news, Tyler and his quote lover type very well. No mistakes, no need for autocorrection, impeccable grammar. Yeah, I noticed that the other night. They for two individuals in their 20s that text each other, boy, they were remarkably accurate with syntax, spelling, grammar, all of it. It's just really amazing. Punctuation. Amazing. So, yeah, it was kind of surprising indeed. All right, what else do we have in the way of the merry memes tonight? Here's a couple that we held over, and I told TBA I'd show these. Talking about Tyler Robinson and his gay lover. It turns out, ladies and gentlemen, that there was apparently Tyler Robinson was kind of spreading it around from what I hear. Apparently, according to reports, there was a second gay lover, and we now have pictures of who that is. So if you happen to see this individual, here is Tyler Robinson's second gay lover. I don't know, man. Yeah. Wow. Just wow. Yeah. Okay, look. I can do everything I can do with the jokes for the memes. Sometimes it just doesn't land. Okay, so I get it. Anyway. All right, what else? Let's see. Have you ever wondered what the look on your face is like when you realize that the left is absolutely doing themselves in one form or another? You kind of got to wonder if they don't have an expression on their face just quite like this. Yeah. No, TBA, no need to be sorry. We love you. We love you, dude. It's all good. But yeah, here's the look on the face when you realize the lefties are kind of, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh boy, indeed. All right, got a few more memes, and then we'll get into our first story of the night. And by the way, vanity license plates. I happen to have one on my car. I'm sure you guys, you do, maybe you have friends who do, depending upon the cost, etc. And some vanity plates are funny, and some of them are just spot on accurate with what they are describing. For example, WWG1 found this vanity plate when he was doing his research. And folks, let me ask you a question. When you look at that car and you look at that vanity plate, does that vanity plate not truly set off? Not truly set off that vehicle? It's just perfect. It's absolutely perfect. You couldn't have come up with a better vanity plate for that car if you would have tried. I mean, like I say, some things just speak for themselves. Some things match together perfectly. Some things are Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire. You know. Yeah, it's a perfect match. Absolutely a perfect match. Oh goodness me, the things you find when you're working for the meme. All right, what else have we got? And again, some memes just kind of speak for themselves. I mean, an oldie but a goodie, and it is so true. Welcome to Clown World, folks. Another day, another turn around the sun. There you go. All right, 2 more, and then we're going to get into everything. And the topic we're going to be talking about tonight is probably going to take up most, if not all, of the live stream. But there's so much about to cover. By now, I'm sure that all of you have heard about the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel from his show on ABC. And there's a lot of conservatives walking around really, really happy right now. As a matter of fact, you kind of got to wonder how big is the grin that a lot of them have. Well, folks, I'm pretty sure this one sums it up beautifully. Okay? With absolute beauty, this one sums it up. There's a lot of people on the political right from ear to ear walking around looking a lot like this. So there you go. There you go. I miss James Gandolfini. I really do. Yeah, I'll bet you are, brother. I'll bet you are. And we're gonna get into that, but I gotta tell you something. And I'm gonna tip my hand here a little bit to my conservative brethren out there. And I love y'all, but before that grin splits your face wide open, be very careful, because you're right on the edge of doing something that you've been fighting against for 15 years. And I'll get into more of that shortly. Now, as we mentioned, Jimmy Farrell is suspended from his duties. And, people are asking the question, well, what's the poor guy going to do now? Well, someone came up with a really good idea for what Jimmy might. I mean, look, he's not hurting for money. So, maybe he wants something that's kind of more low profile. Well, someone came up with this idea for what, Jimmy Kimmel could do. Just take some time off. Get back to nature. Get out and touch grass. Or in this case, cabbage leaves. Or if it's not cabbage, Jimmy, I'm sure we can find some farm product we can get you to pick. Maybe corn. No, that's too hard. Corn you can do on sitting on a tractor. I don't know. Maybe tomatoes or something like that. I don't know. But let's find something where you could be picking the crops and, actually earning an honest wage. That seems reasonable. Since you don't have a job on late night anymore. Anyway. All right. I want to thank WWG1. I want to thank TBA. I want to thank Adam. I want to thank everybody who's contributed to the Merry Memes tonight. As always, please feel free. drop in a few of them. We're always looking for good suggestions. And I tell you what, WWG1 says, Jimmy Kimmel looks like the type that would defecate in a field. Now, look, I didn't say he was going to be spreading fertilizer. We're just wanting him to pick crops. I don't need him to spread fertilizer. He did enough of that he spread enough crap on his own during his live show. Anyway, yeah, what is he really? He's worth $50 million? Jeez, this guy can retire. Anyway, all right. Thank you for the memes. Thank you for everything. All right, let's get into it. No doubt, ever since last night, say around, I don't know, 8:30, 9 o'clock, you have probably heard wailing and gnashing of teeth like you cannot even begin to imagine. And most of that is coming from the political left in this country, be it journalists, politicians, pundits, whatever. Everybody is just all bent out of shape over what happened to poor little Jimmy Kimmel. Oh my word. My heart bleeds for you. I'm not giving up my day job. Anyway, you want a snippet of the reaction that's out there? Good grief. We'll start off first of all with CNN. Our dear friend Brian Stelter, aka Potato Head, Potato Head took to the airwaves last night and said any of the following. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen.
We're talking about comedy. This is so serious, Aaron. Yeah. America is a less free place if late night comedians cannot do and say what they want. Of course, they can be tuned out. People can change the channel. That's how we vote. That's how we have our say in America. But this really does have a chilling effect across the American media. And it's not just me saying it. We've heard from the group FIRE in the past few minutes, the free speech group FIRE, saying, quote, the government pressured ABC and ABC caved.
Oh, my word. This has a chilling effect. Brr. Oh, Stelter, just calm yourself down, Potato Head. Just go sit down for a minute, okay? But he's not the only one. I mean, we got several of these. So you got Stelter out there. He's just crying the blues over this thing. Who else have we got? Good grief. It's nuts. Then you got Madam Circleback herself, Jen Hacky-Sacky. She's on with, what's his face? Hayes. And it's just, the reaction. He's just like, oh my Lord. This thing with Jimmy Kimmel, it's a direct threat to what's going on. Check it out.
The news about Jimmy Kimmel, I think, is a pretty watershed moment. I think we all need to be talking about. We actually, and it's not just a media story. I know you agree with me on this. It's not just a media story. It's a democracy story. It's a freedom of speech story. It's so many things. And I've been thinking a lot today about how I lived through years of answering questions from a lot of these network journalists, people who ask tough questions. Sometimes I was pissed off at them. That's part of what we do. And this is threatening that. The news about Jimmy Kimmel, I think, is
yes. Oh, it's a threat to democracy. A late night comedian is dismissed from his show by his employers. Chris Hay. Well, I agree with that. You ain't wrong there. I mean, the whining and the crying over this is just incredible. I mean, look, I've got very serious qualms about what happened, and I'll get into the why here shortly. But I'm not going as far as these people. These people are absolutely losing their minds over this, okay? Absolutely losing their minds. Van Jones, going back to CNN, he's just a very eloquent brother, might I say. Let's check out what Van Jones has got to say about all this. Listen to this.
That is why we exist. Not to knuckle under, not to do what we're told, but to stand up and to say, listen, if you want to pull these licenses, then we're going to go to court, and we'll be in the court of public opinion. But you don't get to go on a podcast and set policy for American media, for an American media institution that's been around a lot longer than me, you, or Donald Trump.
Okay. Notice what we're going to get into some of that. He's alluding to something that I'm going to get to in a little bit. But Van Jones, you don't get to go on our podcast and set policy. And now Jimmy Kimmel's fired because of Oh, the wine. Would you like some cheese to go with all that wine? For heaven's sake. Y'all over on the left are just absolutely ridiculous. Oh my gosh. No, it's just absolutely terrible. We got a couple of more, and then I'm going to get into some deep diving specifics here. Who? Oh, Don Lemon. Yes, formerly of CNN. He's all aghast about this. He's in terrible shape over it. Don Lemon has weighed in on this, and let's see what he has to say.
Jimmy Kimmel, they're trying to cancel Jimmy Kimmel. I'm sure you've heard the news by now, but I've been going through the internet looking for the clips to see what they're mad or upset about, and I can't find it.
Oh, hold on, Don. We'll fix that problem for you here in just 1 minute. They're trying to cancel him. Oh my gosh. They're trying to cancel Jimmy Kimmel. It's terrible. It's a threat to democracy. He's being canceled. Yeah, what you guys have been doing for the past 15 to 20 years. How do you like a taste of your own medicine? Not that I necessarily agree with everything that happened here, but you folks on the left, you have been taking people out for decades over the most inane, innocuous comments coming or going. And now you have the unmitigated gall to go crying to the American people about getting a taste of your own medicine. No. Don't even try that crap. No, well, now, Gypsy, that's a great point. That is an absolutely great point, my dear. Not necessarily Kim. Oh, I think Kimmel is mad. I think he is. I think he's absolutely mad. But there's more to it than that. But that's Don Lemon. I mean, and on and on and on it goes. So that sort of begs the... Well, wait a minute. I got one more here. The ultimate New York hamburger flipper himself, Chuck Schumer. Now it's reached Capitol Hill, this outrage over Jimmy Kimmel. Goodness me. Everybody is just a Twitter about this. No pun intended. They are just, it's awful. The crying, the wailing, the gnashing of teeth. It's just the end of the world has come. Jimmy Kimmel's been fired. Good God, man. Where's the decency? Oh, the humanity. Oh, let's hear what old Chucky Baby has to say about all this. Ladies and gentlemen, the minority leader of the United States Senate.
Senator Schumer, your reaction to this?
It is outrageous. It's a page right out of Xi's playbook. This is just despicable, disgusting, and against democratic values. Trump and his allies seem to want to shut down speech that they don't like to hear. That is not what democracies do. That is what autocracies do. And it doesn't matter whether you agree with Kimmel or not. He has the right to free speech. And
yes, he does. And no one is disputing that. Okay. I've given you a taste, if you have not seen it already, of the absolute... You know what? Hang on. Now I'm getting teary-eyed about this thing. Poor Jimmy. It's $50 million. What's he gonna do? This is awful. Oh, the humanity. I swear I thought turkeys could fly. All right. Let's start doing some sober analysis of this situation. Notice I said sober. There's nothing alcoholic in my glass. Question number 1. What did Jimmy Kimmel actually say? Okay, let's just start from there. What did he actually say? All right. Monday night, his show on ABC, we've got the clip. Okay. And it goes like this. Kimmel is doing his opening monologue, as he is a wont to do. and he made the following comments. This clip is about 1:10. The heart of his commentary comes in about the first 30 to 40 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, check this out.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House.
I want to back that up and play it again. And then I want to ask you guys some questions. Okay, here we go.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between,
the MAGA gang is doing everything they can to make sure that people understand this is not one of their own. One more time, because I want it understood exactly what he said.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing.
So this kid, according to Jimmy Kimmel, this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk is one of us. He's MAGA. Okay. That's what Jimmy Kimmel said. Now I will play the rest of the clip.
Everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. Demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish, okay?
Okay. Now, let's stop and break this clip down. Everybody on the left is screaming that Jimmy Kimmel got fired because he told a joke. Now, in that 1-minute clip, there is a joke. The joke relates to Donald Trump, and it has to do with how Donald Trump answered a question, how are you holding up personally in the face of the death of your friend Charlie Kirk? And, you know, that's the joke. What the left is ignoring is the first 10 seconds of that clip. What the left is ignoring is Kimmel making the statement. Everybody is trying to, deflect from the fact that this killer of Charlie Kirk was MAGA. Okay. Now, let me say some things that have been on my mind for the past 24 hours. And chime in on this, guys. Does Jimmy Kimmel have the right to say that? Sure. He's got the right to say it. Was Jimmy Kimmel deliberately lying? Let me rephrase that. Did Jimmy Kimmel, with knowledge of forethought, lie? In other words, did he know that Tyler Robinson was influenced heavily by leftist propaganda? He himself was a lefty. Did Jimmy Kimmel know that Tyler Robinson was the polar opposite of his family's political views? Did he know that? Okay, all right. All things being equal, let's just assume Tyler Robinson did it. Okay, I'm just saying, all things being equal. Okay. Did Jimmy Kimmel, with knowledge of forethought, lie? I don't know. Maybe Jimmy Kimmel read a bunch of left-wing propaganda and he went with it without even bothering to research the other side of it or bothering to look at the facts as they are now becoming plainly established. Okay? I don't know that Jimmy Kimmel deliberately lied. Now, I can just hear some, oh, I can't believe you're defending Kimmel. No, wait a minute. I'm defending free speech, which I'll get to momentarily. Do I think that Jimmy Kimmel deliberately lied? I have no idea if he deliberately lied or not. I know what he said was a lie. I don't know if Jimmy Kimmel went up there and with knowledge of forethought, knowing very good and well what he was going to say was a blatant untruth. I have no idea if he was lying or if he knew he was lying. I know he did lie, but I don't know that he deliberately lied. He made a statement. Now what? Now that was Monday. And I won't go through all the clips that lead to, but Benny Johnson was out there leading the charge on this. He gets the FCC commissioner on his show, and all of a sudden there's a public pressure campaign, not necessarily on ABC, but on Sinclair Broadcasting and Nexstar Media Group. Two of the semi-national broadcasting organizations that carry ABC television. And Sinclair and Nexstar are getting phone calls off the hook. And finally, before you know it, they're like, we're going to pull anything having to do with Jimmy Kimmel. We're pulling it. We're not going to show Late Night with Jimmy Kimmel. It's not happening. Now, you might say, okay, well, it's just a handful of stations across the country. Yeah, but when you're only pulling down about 1 million viewers a night, and then you have large percentages of TV stations that will not air your product, which means you can't sell advertising. Your advertisers aren't going to be seen. They're not going to pay you money. And you're paying this guy an exorbitant amount of money, then you got a problem on your hands. Okay? So that's what he said. Now, it is very true that the left has canceled a lot of people over the years. For example, Clay Travis of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show. Roseanne had the highest rated show when she made a Twitter joke and was immediately fired. Gina Carano had the most popular show on streaming when she made a social media post and was immediately fired by Disney. Everyone on the left cheered, and that is true. That is absolutely true. You know, the left has gotten a lot of people fired. I don't know why they're shocked by this. Well, I do, but we'll get to that. Maybe the press in the first 24 hours was quick to put out pictures of the shooter as a child, dressed as a MAGA. The media are usually quick to put out pictures of the killer when they were kids. All right, that's fair. Fair point. WWG1 says the airport terminals won't have anything to watch if Jimmy Kimmel's not on. Oh, ain't that the truth? So Benny Johnson leads the charge. Sinclair Broadcasting, Nexstar Media Group start pulling down Jimmy Kimmel's show, and they start announcing this like late Wednesday afternoon. And this thing started rolling, and I mean rolling big time. And then by about 8:30 or 9 o'clock, ABC announces they are suspending Kimmel indefinitely. I am not going to lie to you. I was shocked. Genuinely shocked. Okay. Now, did Disney ABC get a case of morality? Did they realize, you know what he said was not really in good taste? Maybe, no. I was thinking about this the other night. Been talking about this with family members and friends of mine. And I'm not the only one that feels this way. I've got a tweet here from one of my absolute favorite people in all of comedy and social media, the irreverently funny Chrissy Mayer. Don't get fooled. Disney and ABC have wanted to cancel Jimmy Kimmel for years. This was opportunistic. They needed a big enough reason politically to do it, and they can blame the right-wing cancel culture in order to continue the cultural division, and Kimmel is in on it. Let me take that one step further. Not only do they get to blame right-wing cancel culture, but they sort of kill two birds with one stone. Okay? And we're hang on, darling. We're coming to it. We're getting there. Now that's that. We're going to get into that question. We're going to get into a little bit of that. So hang on to that one. I think Chrissy's got a really good point here, and let me explain why I say that. Do you guys have any idea? How much Jimmy Kimmel was making? Hold on to that thought, because before we get to that, well, no, actually, let me just dive right into it. I'll save this clip for a little bit. Do you know how much Jimmy Kimmel was making per year? Check this out. This is from the U.S. Sun, great newspaper here in the United States. Take it. I'll tell you what, before I put this up, take a guess how much Jimmy Kimmel was making per year. And we have a winner. We have a winner, ladies and gentlemen. $16 million a year. She's absolutely right. Jimmy Kimmel renewed his contract in 2022. Okay? And if you want some verification on this, check this out from thesun.com. This was published today. Jimmy Kimmel's $48 million contract set to expire in just months as talk show is suspended indefinitely. $48 million. Now, the reason why I say Lana is right, and let me explain this. Kimmel signed an extension to his contract in 2022. Matter of fact, do I have that article from the AP? Hang on a minute. I think I do. Yeah, here it is. Hang on. Let me pop this up on screen for you guys. 1 second, folks. He did a renewal of his contract back in 2022. And it was a 3-year extension. Here it is. Yeah. Let me get this up on screen for you guys. He did a 3-year extension of his contract. Okay. So 3 years. At the time, he'd been with ABC for about 20 years. Okay. He started doing late night TV for ABC back in, I think it was 2002. So by the time he signed this extension, he'd been with ABC for 20 years. Okay. Now, 3-year extension, and according to thesun.com, that contract was worth in toto about $48 million. Yeah, exactly. 3-year deal, $48 million, $16 million a year. Exactly. You break down the math beautifully, my dear. Thank you. This guy was making $16 million a year. According to the sun.com, that contract was coming up for renewal somewhere, let's just say before the end of the year. Okay. So somewhere in the next, three and a half months, that contract was up. Now, see this, it's commentary just like this is why I have the smartest audience on the internet. Gypsy is about one step ahead of me, and I don't mind that at all because it just proves how smart you guys are. I got a story here from the New York Post. Let me see if this is it. Yeah, here it is. Hang on. Let me pop this up on screen and let you guys read along with me. from our friends at the New York Post. Headline: Jimmy Kimmel's ratings were plummeting before ABC suspended him for the Charlie Kirk comments. Article by Ariel Zilber, we've got the following. Jimmy Kimmel's late night show was bleeding viewers before Disney-owned ABC made the decision to pull the plug and suspended him for comments on Charlie Kirk's assassination. Nielsen data shows sharp summer declines and a year-long slide that leaves him trailing late-night rivals such as Fox News' Greg Gutfeld and CBS star Stephen Colbert. According to monthly Nielsen figures, Jimmy Kimmel Live, now listen to this, dropped to just 1.1 million total viewers in August 2025, down 43% from January's 1.95. His August household rating of 0.35 marked the weakest showing of the year. The advertiser coveted 18 to 49 demographic also cratered. Kimmel averaged only, now listen to this, only 129,000 viewers in that bracket in August, off from 212,000 in January and less than half his June peak of 284,000. His ABC contract was set to expire next year. The slump raises the question of whether Jimmy Kimmel Live can regain momentum against Colbert, Fallon, and cable insurgents. Kimmel's deal with ABC runs through May of 26 under a 3-year extension he signed in September 2022. Industry reports that his salary at $15 to $16 million a year, with some outlets noting that bonuses can put his annual earnings above $20 million a year. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a question. And I'm not trying to be conspiratorial about this, but I think this is perfectly legitimate. Why do I get the distinct impression that ABC was given a gift on a silver platter when hoof-in-mouth Jimmy Kimmel made his 10-second comment about Charlie Kirk and MAGA? Why do I get the feeling they were handed a gift that said, here, now you get to get rid of about $20 million worth of salary and look like you're, doing the right thing by your local broadcasting channels, and also you can score some points with your lefty buddies who are saying that you're handling cancel culture, whatever. I mean, who knows? There's no downside. There's no downside to ABC sacking this guy. I think Chrissy Mayer is right. I think any number of people who have commented about this are absolutely right. ABC looked at the ratings, which were atrocious, looked at the salary, which was sky high, and said to themselves, can we please dump this turkey? And then all of a sudden, Jimmy Kimmel gives them the means by which to do it. 10 seconds worth of commentary that lit a firestorm out among people who supported Charlie Kirk, loved Charlie Kirk, who were, and frankly, even if you didn't love or support Charlie Kirk, the comment was just absolutely wrong on so many levels. Okay? And all Jimmy Kimmel or his writers, as Gypsy rightly points out, okay? If his writers or even Jimmy Kimmel himself would have taken 5 minutes to go out and read some news other than the New York Times, the Daily Beast, or whoever, okay, they would have realized, we probably shouldn't use this comment. Let's just take that one out. He didn't. Jimmy made the comment. The firestorm ensued. And ABC saw their opening and they took it. They dumped about, let's just say anywhere from $15 to $20 million worth of annual salary from one of their personalities and killed two birds in one stone doing it. Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you. Yeah, if he had been pulling in big time ratings, ABC rides the storm out. They just say, well, he's got the First Amendment right to freedom of speech. He can say whatever he wants. Okay? He can say whatever he wants. Now, I said that there are things about this that trouble me. No, I don't think I'm necessarily being tinfoil about this. I really don't. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. I could be absolutely wrong. But I don't think ABC or Disney grew a case of morality overnight. Like I said, I think they looked at the numbers. They looked at the ratings. They looked at the money they were paying him. They looked at everything else and went, yeah, no, don't worry, man. It's all good. Yeah, I knew you're messing with me. But yeah, I think they looked at the numbers and went, yeah, okay, he just opened the door. Let's get rid of him. And they did. Now, that's one angle to this story. But there is something else, and I think it really ought to be addressed. Because here I think conservatives are starting to skate on thin ice. Okay? And I'll explain what I'm getting at here in a minute. Hugh Hewitt, longtime political reporter. He's written for all kinds of places over the years. He's been around D.C. longer than I can even think about. Hugh Hewitt was on Fox News this morning and gave what I consider to be a pretty level-headed take about the whole thing. And I want to talk about some of this. So do me a favor, check out the ever-wizened Hugh Hewitt.
The United States has the most robust speech protections in the world. The First Amendment here is much more rigorous than the protections accorded the average British citizen. That does not excuse Jimmy Kimmel's idiocy on Monday night. And ABC is a private company, and unlike you and I right now, they operate in a regulated world on a broadcast network using the public spectrum. So they have an even higher obligation to the public. But I think what ABC was anticipating is they're going to lose half to 3/4 of their audience, and the advertisers are going to flee because Kimmel simply lied about Charlie's murderer. Charlie was assassinated by a left-wing fanatic, and that can be said over and over again, and you can't get away from that. So the decision to suspend and I suspect eventually cancel Kimmel is a business decision by ABC. When FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr came out and made comments about that, all he was doing was underscoring that the FCC has to regulate in the public interest, and ABC licensees have to broadcast in the public interest. Public interest does not include telling lies about left-wing nuts. Now, I don't know that ABC would have lost their license, but I know that ABC was looking at their sponsors more than they were looking at Brendan Carr talking about the FCC's legal responsibility. But our First Amendment, much stronger than Brits, and I'm glad that it is.
Okay. Hugh Hewitt brought up a bunch of points in that, and there is a doctrine, and we're going to get into it here in a second. The doctrine of public interest, which the FCC is responsible under their charter and under federal law to make sure is evenly applied everywhere. And you might ask the question, well, what is the doctrine of public interest? Well, let me show you something, and I think this will help explain it. Ooh, now there's an angle I hadn't thought about. Well, here's another one too. That's possible. That is possible. That would be interesting. Good evening, my dear. Welcome to the Electronic Front Porch tonight. Glad you're hanging out with us. One of our favorite people, Miss Tiny Tesla. What is this doctrine of public interest? Now, remember, ABC, NBC, CBS are granted a broadcasting license by the FCC. Therefore, they are responsible to the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, to be and do certain things. What is the doctrine of public interest? Well, it goes like this. The FCC continues to uphold the principle that broadcast licensees, which is exactly what ABC is, must operate in the, quote, public interest, convenience, and necessity, a mandate rooted in the Communications Act of 1934. This obligation requires stations to provide programming responsive to the needs and problems of their local communities, including news, public affairs, and political content. While the Fairness Doctrine, which required broadcasters to present contrasting viewpoints on controversial issues, was repealed in 1987, the FCC maintains that the public interest is best served by permitting free expression and encouraging counter speech rather than suppressing the content. The agency's role remains focused on ensuring broadcasters meet their community service obligations through public inspection files and quarterly reports. Okay. Now, notice again, the public interest standard requires broadcasters, again, ABC, NBC, CBS, because they have broadcast license through the FCC, requires broadcasters to serve the needs of the local community of license, including community problems and addressing them through programming. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Jimmy Kimmel pops off this comment about Charlie Kirk's killer being part of MAGA. The local stations are getting an earful from people in their area. They're like, this is awful. You got Benny Johnson, and you can agree with Benny. You can say he's right. You can say he's wrong. But he went to the local stations and said, do you guys think this is right? Okay. The local stations, the local broadcast licensees went back to the national network and said, we ain't putting this guy on. Our phones are getting burnt. The phone lines are getting burned down to our offices, man. We're not going to put him on. We think this stuff is crap. Our viewers think this is crap. So and again, this is not necessarily my mile of ground that I walk in all the time. Okay. But I think I'm going to ask a fair question here. Is Jimmy Kimmel a victim of cancel culture, or is Jimmy Kimmel a victim of capitalistic market forces in broadcasting? I mean, you guys know me. I'm as much a free market capitalist as anybody else. Okay. But I think that may be what happened here. With a caveat, and I'll get to the caveat shortly. The free market said he made a stupid comment. The free market activated quickly, passionately. The free market sent out a signal to another member of the free market saying, hey, we ain't putting your product on. We don't like it. The free market looked at Jimmy Kimmel and went, we're paying you too much money. You're not bringing in enough viewers. You're done. They didn't say that blatantly, but that's what's going on here. I mean, cancel culture to me is different. Cancel culture is you make a comment. Yeah, you get the same result, but whole different intent, whole different set of mechanics behind it. Zippy, oh my gosh, Zippy's in the house tonight. Oh, Lord. Look what the cat finally dragged himself in. Lies lead to libel and slander. It becomes more of a mess. Plus, Kimmel's show was losing money, and it's hard for sycophants to let go. True dat. What else has Zippy got? They won't fire falling because they're afraid of each other. Okay. One more from Zippy. There's so much in the media, they cannot reprimand, fire people. That's true. Now, I want to bring in one more clip. And this, you've heard a lot about Brendan Carr, the commissioner of the FCC. Okay. You've heard a lot about this guy. Well, what exactly is his take on all of this? Well, I've got a clip here that I think pretty well sums up where he's at. You know, you got Democrats out there saying, oh, the FCC was jawboning ABC into doing this. No, that's not what happened here. Here is FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr in his own words. Check this out.
No, look, again, broadcast TV is different. We're on a cable show right now. You don't have an FCC license.
Now, he's appearing on CNBC. And again, Brendan Carr is absolutely right. Cable news networks are different than broadcast licensees like ABC. Let me start this clip over, and here you go.
No, look, again, broadcast TV is different. We're on a cable show right now. You don't have an FCC license. You don't have an obligation to serve the public interest. Podcasts don't either. Stand-up comedians, whether they're on lots of forms of communications, don't, and Kimmel is free to do that. But if you have a broadcast TV license, that means that you have something that very few people have, and you're excluding other people from having access to that valuable public resource, and it comes with an obligation to serve the public interest. And again, over the years, there's been a rule in place at the FCC that local TV stations get to preempt programming that they don't think meets the needs of their communities. But recently, these national programmers, ABC, Disney, Comcast, NBC, they've been exercising outsized control and power over those local TV stations, and there's been no pushback. And this is a very significant moment because local broadcasters are now pushing back on national programmers for the first time that I can think of in modern history. And that's one of the things we want at the FCC. We want to empower local broadcasters that have the public interest obligation to push back on national programmers so that people have more choice.
Now, that's an extremely interesting take and some stuff that either I hadn't thought about myself or I'd sort of forgotten about. If Brendan Carr is correct in his interpretation of the law and FCC regulation, keep in mind, again, if he's right, local TV stations don't have to play certain things that national networks put out for them if they feel it's not in the public interest. In other words, if their community is not bettered by the airing of this content, they're under no requirement to air it. Hey, Corey, how you doing tonight? Cajun Corey is in the house with us. Not going to lie, I've been crying that Jimmy Kimmel got suspended, crying in laughter. Hey, Brian. Hey, Corey. Good to have you in the house tonight, brother. Now, I will give Brendan Carr this. He does bring up another valid point. When's the last time you saw a campaign like what happened in the past 48 hours after Jimmy Kimmel dropped that comment at 11:30 on a Monday night? In less than 48 hours, that dude went from making a comment on his show that he's hosted for 20 years to being out on his butt. When's the last time you saw something like that happen? Not necessarily from the left, but from the conservative right in this country. It's been decades. Absolute decades. I haven't seen something like this since maybe the 70s or the 80s. Seriously. And I would have been a kid. I'd have been I would have been somewhere between probably 10 and 18 years old the last time I would have seen something like this. Well, I don't think conservatives necessarily watch Kimmel, but they exercised free market and political power. WWG1 says over on Rumble, when a local TV station subscribes to a service and acts as an affiliate, I think they must air all the content provided based on the contract they signed. Well, okay, that may be the case. Again, this is not necessarily my field that I travel in all the time. So I'm just, I'm like you guys. I'm sharing the information as I've got it. That may be the case. But according to the FCC commissioner, there is apparently local stations have the ability to say, no, we're not going to air this. We don't think it meets the public interest for our community. And you ask the question, well, what is public interest? it's kind of up to interpretation. So yeah, I mean, liberals out there are crying that Jimmy Kimmel got canceled. This is a threat to free speech. It's a threat to democracy. This is fascism. Yada yada yada. And you know what? I will one more clip, and then I'm gonna wind this up. One of my favorite commentators out there, and I think she's absolutely right in her comments, Batya Ungar-Sargon, writes for the Free Press, which is Barry Weiss's organization. And I think if Brendan Carr had not made the comments he did, then maybe this doesn't go down quite as the way it does. TBA asked the question, so this is just a violation of FCC rules, right? Good question. Anyway, let me pop this up here and let you guys hear it, because I think she's got a pretty sober take on this. Check it out.
If the market cannot regulate the kind of thing that Jimmy Kimmel did, right? Telling a joke that tasteless and offensive and disgusting in a moment like that, ABC never would have disciplined him for it. There was no amount of conservative backlash, in my view, that could have gotten them to do it had Nexstar not acted. Does the government then get a role? Now, unfortunately, my view is still no. And what I really resent the FCC chair for is the fact that I don't think he is the reason ABC acted. I think it has much more to do with the fact that Nexstar was pulling it from the affiliates. But what the FCC chair did was he turned ABC into the victim. And I really resent that, because that is the left's move right now. Over and over and over again, they do these reversals of the victim and the perpetrator. They've been doing it since Charlie was assassinated, trying to make themselves the preemptive victims of future violence.
Okay. And she may be right. If he had worded what he said differently, or maybe even not say anything at all, well, there you go. Maybe this doesn't go down quite the way it did. Now, I've been teasing something this whole time leading up to this. I'm going to wrap this up with just one last comment. And I said at the very beginning of this, I'm of two minds about how all this went down. To my conservative, and I'm not necessarily talking to my audience here, okay? The comments I'm about to make go out beyond this microphone or beyond this live stream. This is to my conservative brethren out there, be it a Benny Johnson or whoever, okay? Be very, very careful, because I'm getting the distinct impression there are some people on the political right who are letting their grief and their anger over what happened to Charlie Kirk override their common sense and their political principles. Now, what am I talking about? Look, for the better part of 2 decades, folks on the political right of varying shades, stripes, and hues have been fighting against cancel culture and have been fighting for freedom of speech. Okay? And whenever someone like a Roseanne Barr or a Gina Carano, or just name the individual that the left has targeted for things that they have said, whenever that happens and people get deplatformed, or they lose their TV shows or their movie contracts or their record deals or whatever, everybody gets mad and upset about it, and rightfully so, because we believe in the freedom of speech. Why do we believe in freedom of speech? Because we're in the hope that it leads to free expression. We want ideas said. And I'll take that one step further. I want even ideas that offend me to be said. I think Jimmy Kimmel is a talentless hack. Well, let me rephrase that. He can be funny. He's not my cup of tea. Okay? And his politics and mine, we are way far apart. But you know what? I want Jimmy Kimmel to have a platform to say whatever it is he wants. I don't want Jimmy Kimmel silenced, ever. I don't want Keith Olbermann silenced, and I think he's a effing moron. I don't want Howard Stern silenced. I don't want a lot of people silenced. I don't agree with them one bit. I don't agree with them one whit. But I don't want them silenced. Now, in this case, conservatives dodged a bullet in this respect. They almost got an out, and the out is this. You could make a pretty good argument. What was done here was its own form of cancel culture under the veneer of public interest doctrine and mark for etc. To my brethren on the right, be very, very careful. You are on the razor's edge of becoming the very thing you hate. Again, I am not defending Jimmy Kimmel's comments. I think they were patently stupid. I don't care if he wrote them or his writers wrote them and he just said what was written for him. I don't care. I am not defending Jimmy Kimmel. I am defending Jimmy Kimmel's right to say something. I'm defending your right to say something. I'm defending my right to say something. Be very careful, my brothers and sisters on the right. You are right on the edge of going down a hill and a slope that you will never come back from, and you will become the very thing you have fought against for 2 decades. In this case, you can make an argument that's somewhat exceptional. So you didn't quite go all the way, but you got very close. Do not let your rage and your anger cause you to lose sight of your principles. I'm not saying sit around and be a patsy or a wallflower or a potted plant. No, stand up for your principles and fight for them. Just remember the principles you're fighting for. Okay? You dodged a bullet on this one. You had the veneer of public interest doctrine. You had the language of the FCC. You had, broadcast affiliates. You had people making phone calls and grassroots campaigning. Okay, that's fine. That's great. But what happens the next time somebody says something that offends you and you don't have any of that to fall back on as your defense? How will you justify your actions? Or maybe the better question is, can you? Be very careful that you do not become the very thing you hate. Just some thoughts. Just some thoughts from an old man. Anyway. Tell you what. We got about 10 minutes left tonight, and I'm going to shift gears ever so slightly. And in the same vein, talking about Charlie Kirk, did you guys see the... one last thing. One last thing before I do that. I got 2 stories to get in before the end of the live stream. And this one's really funny. I saved a couple of memes for later in the show. And I think you're going to appreciate this. I think you'll get quite the kick out of this one. Did you guys hear about what Trump's about to do with Antifa? If you didn't, check this meme out. For my next trick, I'll make Democrats defend Antifa. Now, this should be funny. Yeah, that's another way. Yeah. Yep. If you guys did not see it, if you didn't see it, Donald Trump posted something on Truth Social last night, and this has the potential, if followed through on, this has the potential to be a game changer. Donald Trump's Truth Social post from last night. I am pleased to inform my USA patriots that I am designating Antifa, a sick, dangerous, radical left disaster, as a major terrorist organization. I will also be strongly recommending that those funding Antifa be thoroughly investigated in accordance with the highest legal standards and practices. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Ladies and gentlemen, if Trump, and more particularly the Department of Justice, actually go forward with this, this has all kinds of possibilities of what it could do. You know. So, WWG1 brings up RICO laws. Yes, that is absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. So, yeah, this is so true, my friend. So true. Indeed. All right, one last story and we'll get out of here. In the vein of talking about Charlie Kirk, did you guys see the news that came out of Turning Point USA? Let me get this pulled up on screen. If you didn't, wow. This is all I'm going to say is just wow. From thehill.com, we have the following headline: Turning Point USA to Erica Kirk to lead Turning Point USA after her husband's death, the board announces. Article by Sarah Fortinsky, and we've got the following. Erica Kirk, the widow of the late conservative activist Charlie Kirk, will lead Turning Point USA as its CEO and chair of the board in the wake of her husband's death, the organization announced Thursday. Turning Point board unanimously elected Erica Kirk on Thursday. In a statement announcing the decision, the organization said, quote, in prior discussions, Charlie expressed to multiple executives that this is what he wanted in the event of his death. It was the honor of our lives to serve as board members at Charlie's side. Charlie prepared all of us for a moment like this one. He worked tirelessly to ensure Turning Point USA was built to survive even the greatest test, and now it is our great pride to announce Erica Kirk as the new CEO and chair of the board for Turning Point USA, read a statement signed by the organization's board members. Now, I won't say that this is unexpected, okay? Won't say this is unexpected, but let me tell you something, and this is what I've heard. Erica Kirk, according to Charlie, when Charlie was living, he'd make the statement his wife was more conservative than he was. So for those of you out there on the political left that didn't like Charlie's takes about things, if Erica Kirk is let me rephrase that. If Erica Kirk is as intelligent as I think she is, you folks out there on the left who thought you were silencing Charlie Kirk's point of view, you're going to get Charlie Kirk's point of view and hers with both barrels. And she has the rage of a widow to back that up. Y'all are screwed. All right. TBA over on Rumble says, good. I'd rather that it be Erica as the CEO and chairman of the board rather than Ben Shapiro. Amen to that. I was starting to get worried that Shapiro was going to worm his way in. If he'd have gotten a hold of Turning Point USA, that'd have been a disaster. Anyway, all right, let's bring this train into the station. Folks, as always, thank you ever so much for being here tonight. Love you. And we've tackled a lot of different subjects. I love your guys' takes. I love the comments. I love the energy. I love the passion. You know, you guys are the best audience on the internet, period, hands down. I'd take you up against anybody. Remember, we're going to be back this Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m. Hang on a minute. Some local news. WWG1 says Marshall University is resurrecting their Turning Point USA chapter. Hot dog. I'm glad to see that. I am genuinely glad to see that. Thank you for that, sir. We're going to be back this Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern for Front Porch Brunch. And remember, this Sunday at 5 p.m., I am on Christian Watson's channel for a live stream that he hosts with a good buddy of his. The show is called Moral Panic. They have invited me on in the hopes of tanking their ratings. No, I'm kidding. No, Christian has always been very gracious to me over the years, and he invited me on this Sunday at 5 o'clock. So keep your eyes open for posts on Twitter and other places about Moral Panic. 5 p.m. this Sunday, I'll be on with Christian Watson. And again, thank you guys ever so much for being here. Love you guys. And as we depart, as always, remember the words of that great American philosopher, Tom T. Hall, when he said, "It's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, and more money." We'll see you this Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m., 5 o'clock this Sunday with Christian Watson. Goodbye.